I swear there's really nothing to read in the local news today. Oh, goldfinch. Good morning, I'm Azuddin. You're watching Morning Headlines and it's the 10th of September. All papers are carrying the same headline, which is the preliminary report of the MH17 and what has happened to it, what's happened to it a few months ago. So here's your headlines. MH17 berkecai di udara. Berkecai di udara. Pecah di udara. The Star, you gotta love this one. Murder at 33,000 feet. Last seconds of MH17. And from what sounds like a bad romantic comedy title, Mid-Air Breakup. Numerous hits. And Metro doesn't have any headline. Although they do have Buddy UPSR. So I guess Metro is going against the grain here. Now, what are the basic facts of these reports on these newspapers? Right? So basically, the preliminary report for MH17 has came out. Now, according to the report, the aircraft was ripped apart by high-energy objects that ruptured the fuselage before crashing into Ukraine. Now, what's interesting about the report was that it did not mention and identify these high-energy objects as missile strikes, but that's only simply because I think it makes sense here when Richard Quest came out to say that the preliminary report is only to identify but not to prosecute. The prosecution and the judgment of whatever these things was is for the Justice Court to decide. While many reports are eager to blame someone on either side, I think it's imperative for most of us to still keep on the sidelines and wait until the full report and the Justice Court decides who really fired the gun. And of course, inside these reports, you can see the final communications transcript for the flight. Apart from that, it's a very slow news day, so I've been flipping through the inside pages and we have a few different stories. Very briefly, The Star, if you look onto page 2, we have the headline here, Help for PR1 M1 buyers. Now, this is a housing scheme for Malaysians to afford affordable housing, but for those who cannot make the cut, what the government is now doing, they're offering a 30-year rent for whoever cannot secure these loans, and after these 30 years, they're able to own the units for themselves, which I think is pretty good. In other news, we have UPSR. The examination for Standard 6 students started yesterday, so good luck to our kids out there. I don't have a kid, but you probably do. And of course, we have a few more arrests that has happened today. We have a construction site supervisor who was arrested for making insulting comments to Muslims last year, and earlier this morning, we had a religious preacher 1G who was arrested for insulting the Sultan as well. So we have a whole barrage of arrest that's been going around, and of course in the fray of all this is the question of whether or not the Sedition Act should continue, because if you go to the Prime Minister's page, there are people who claim that the Sedition Act should still be there, while there are many other camps who are saying the Sedition Act should go because it's a colonial era law. Now, taking a step back to MH17, I think a problem I have with Harian Metro today, and also how the media sometimes represent news, is in the graphics. Metro, always misbehaving. Alright guys, feast your eyes on this. If this is not insensitivity at its best, I don't know what it is, because clearly when Harian Metro folks were drawing this one up, why are they even thinking of the families? What would the family think of graphic like this? But really, because it's Harian Metro, we can't really expect too much. I mean, so that's about our local papers. But I think what's interesting today is I want to bring up something which was carried by the International New York Times paper. BFM gets a subscription of it, and if you guys haven't read it, maybe you should go online and look at this one specific article. It runs with the headline of "No Sure Thing in Malaysia Bid to Build New York Casino Resort." Now, this story, which is actually a business story, but nonetheless very interesting, is about the Genting Group setting up a very huge casino strip in New York. Now, they're going to be investing $1.5 billion in building this whole casino complex in New York City, and they're expected to have entertainment, they expect to have hotels, restaurants, formal gardens, a Renaissance village. Now, that's a hell lot of money. I mean, on the negotiation table, they've even offered to build a 30 million highway interchange just leading up to the complex, which is not being carried around much in all these other papers. But what's interesting here is that the American Genting Group has been in the US for about 2 decades now, and they've been doing very well. Reading stories like this really makes you feel good as a Malaysian, at least to know that we're really doing good out there. So guys, pick up a copy of the IHT today, or maybe go online. It's quite a good story. And my word of the day today is udara, which is air. Pretty much the word being used across all Malay headlines, except for Harian Metro. And that's all I have for you this morning on Morning Headlines. I'm Aziff for BFM 89.9.